Viewers, it is 1 and welcome to 51 on Moaning Show. And in this particular episode, I want to talk to you about free-to-air television. Now, of course, I do realise the fact that I have talked about this in the past, but it's an ongoing issue, really. So I'd like to continue moaning and complaining about it. Free-to-air television, yeah, it's okay. It's alright. Nowhere near bloody perfect, though. There will never ever be perfect television. Not ever again. And the reason for this is simple. Money. All shows cost X amount to make. Which is the reason why, specifically on the BBC, we're starting to see more and more and more repeats. The most extravagant programs you could get of a daytime are, again, property programs, antiques programs. They don't get a lot more extravagant or exciting than that, really. There's a heck of a lot of repeats on free-to-air television, and it does strike me as pathetic. Really fucking pathetic. Mainly due to the fact that, you know, you get all of these channels and only, say, 4 of them or 5 of them are funded by the public. And that, of course, is the BBC. Now, of course, they stretch out to local radio. You know, nearly every, I don't know, county has their own radio station produced by the BBC. And you have to get really pedantic if you're going to moan about that, but that's what I'm really here to moan about on this particular edition. Every county has their own news, or every region has their own news, but they also have their own weather as well. Now, yes, alright, at the same time as you can find out the weather by looking out of the window, you can watch the news to find out local weather reports. But what's wrong with the normal weather after the national news? Right, it's not as detailed for your area, but all you really need to know is it going to rain and how fucking hot it's going to be. Like today, for example, on the day of filming, it's fucking hot. I thought I'd represent. But anyway, just saving money seems to be at the top of everyone's agenda as far as making TV is concerned, and it really is bad, specifically like in the summer months leading up to, say, October, when autumn programming starts up again and you start to see a little bit of variety. Now, it's not just a moan at the BBC, it's a moan at every free-to-air television network or whatever. ITV does very little apart from like This Morning, which is basically a magazine programme, you know, and you get some more antique programmes on that, you get more discussion programmes like Loose Women, and it just bores the pants off of you. You're bored shitless basically, because they can't be bothered to come up with exciting original programming long before people get home from work. Now, I'm not saying that all programs have to be dynamic and exciting. I'm just saying let's have a bit of variety, for fuck's sake. Antique programs followed by property programs, followed by Dish the Dirt programs and scam programs, you know, Dominic Littlewood or whatever his fucking name is. Because, well, Marlene went to a shopping centre and spoke to a vendor outside and she got duped of £200. Fuck you, Marlene, you're fucking stupid. If you're going to go anywhere but like supermarkets where massive supermarkets where they sell the things that you're looking for, or Amazon or whatever, you're going to get duped. There's people out there that are complete fucking arseholes that are looking at, you know, people like Marlene and just thinking, well, she's a bit simple. Let's do her. You know, regardless, it's programs like Watchdog and things like that, and they're getting brought out of a morning where the people watching them are either too ill to do something, or they just don't give a shit, and they just got something in the background. Free-to-air television, you know, it's the lesser channels that are getting better, like Dave, for example. They got stuff like Taskmaster, and you know, you get a bit of reality as well, like Steve Austin's Broken Skull Challenge, and you get other comedy programs, and you know, it's one of the better channels. Alright, there's loads of repeats on it as well, like they're still showing Top Gear with the presenters of Clarkson, May and Hammond, but that's the best Top Gear. Even the new stuff sucks. I watched it, it's terrible. They're trying to get back to the laddish style, and it's like, well, you shouldn't have fucking sacked the guys that made it good in the first place. You're your own worst enemy. But the repeats is like one of the better channels at the moment is E4. It's just full of repeats. Like you got Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you got Blackish, you got Big Bang Theory, which is repeated like 3 times a day at different intervals. There's one in the morning, there's one at lunchtime, and there's one at, say, dinner time, and maybe another time just before you go to bed. It's just so 3 or 4 times a day you've got Big Bang Theory. You've got Brooklyn Nine-Nine maybe even twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, and it doesn't leave a lot to the imagination. You know, it might show the odd film like 3 times a week or whatever, and occasionally they'll bring in something new to try out. There's this sitcom I've just started watching on E4 called Speechless. It's about a teenager with learning difficulties that uses a laser pointer on his glasses to look at a board, and an interpreter reads what he's looking at and speaks for him. But it's quite funny. But it's just stuff like repeats. And the worst offender is probably one of the best channels if you work a night shift, and that's Challenge. Challenge is a great channel for a night shift. Once you've done everything you need to do, you can relax somewhat and watch Challenge. And the best reason for watching Challenge, it keeps your brain going. It's a quiz channel with no modern quizzes on there whatsoever. On a Sunday they may show something that they've produced, which is rather cheap looking, but the rest of them you got stuff like Catchphrase, Pointless, The Chase, which is one of their favourites, and their absolute favourite show of all time on Challenge is Bullseye. You know, and they show it every single day, 3 or 4 episodes a day, maybe even more, but it's just full of repeats. There's no variety. There's no free-to-air sports channel. There's no channel for, I mean, there's a couple of movie channels, but they're all really old movie, like black and white movies with stars that have been dead for 50 years or 40 years or whatever. And yeah, you got Film 4. Not a bad channel. It does show the odd new movie. I mean, they're showing movies of 2017, 2018 now. Great, not a problem. You know what the biggest problem is? It's not on all day. When it was on all day, they didn't have adverts in the films, but they were realising they were paying too much to not have advertising. Now advertising makes up for, I don't know, 5-6 hours a day of their revenue, you know, to buy the rights to show the movies. Fair enough. But what sucks is that a lot of these channels aren't 24-hour channels, so they can avoid paying the highest rate to broadcast what they broadcast. That leaves a lot of time for these infomercials that take half an hour plus. It's like, have you got tone dabs? It's like, and it's like, of course we haven't got tone dabs. Vast majority of us. Would you like tone dabs? We don't want anything. just fucking show the films, you know. And it's like, they show this infomercial that takes half an hour for them to get the point across, and you see these terrible actors that have been asked to portray the presenter, so to speak, of these infomercials. It's like, I wish I had one of these. It's like, fuck off. Fuck right off. And all it is just this little thing that looks like a roll bar in a car, and it just rigs back and forth, and it just makes you do the fucking sit-ups that you can't do because you've got a massive belly or something like that. What a load of shit. But these things take half an hour. And there's another one for like cooking gadgets and shit like that, and you see the same piece of footage where they lift up the thing that's cooking your meal or whatever, and you never see a full demonstration of these fucking things. They're really annoying. It's like, you pour the ingredients in, like a cake mix for example. You pour the cake mix in and you put whatever you want into the thing, like a few bits of fruit or, you know, whatever, and it has this clock thing, you know, where it goes it's like, you see it and it lifts up and it's a perfect cake as well. And they get the bonus item. Oh, the bonus item, it really fucking makes me laugh. The bonus item, right, is for one of these cooking things, is usually a shitty little spatula that's nothing better than a remote control, but flat, you know. Comes with free spatula and recipe book. It's like, who gives a shit? You're making cakes. You're making like things that can't, quite frankly, you can't be bothered to make properly or whatever. And you're pushing your product to be fucking awesome. And they always take it out, you notice. They always take it out and there's nothing left underneath the cooked item. It's all perfectly clean, because what they've done, they've opened it up, they've taken it out, they've washed it, put it back in and put the cooked item back in, so it just, like that, there's no mess left whatsoever to make you think, oh right, I'll get one of them, they're all right, they'll be easy clean. Fuck off, will they be easy clean? The first big offender of this was the George Foreman grill, that you, all right, it cooks things a little bit more healthier, but whatever you put in it basically stays as, you know, as unhealthy as it could be if you just grilled it on your normal grill in the oven or whatever. But it just amazes me how you never see the thing cooking. You never see the real thing coming out of it, you know. And these things take ages. And another great one as well is the NutriBullet. Oh man, this thing. Basically, it's a blender. And you see this person who's made, you know, designed the device, it's been made, a prototype's all gone through, and he's trying to sell it. And this geezer with another one of these bimbo actresses that has been like brought in to, you know, really sell the product. It's like, I've got 2 of these at home. It's like, really great stuff. It's like, and the guy's created is like, yeah, you could put all sorts of fruit and vegetables in there. Well, not vegetables, but this thing is supposed to make a nutritious drink or smoothie that gives you all sorts of you know, supplements and vitamins and all that sort of shit. So he puts like a banana in there, he puts a couple of kiwi fruit, maybe an apple or some apples or a bit of an orange. And this, I kid you not, this container's about 1 litre big, right? And he puts this thing on, making sure obviously it doesn't splatter everywhere. That's the most important thing in these adverts. And it mixes it all up, and it turns out this awful grey colour, similar to what's to the left of me down there where I'm pointing right now. And you can clearly see the actress or other person presenting the advert going, you can see it in their faces, that looks like a piece of shit. I know I have to drink that, because the owner of the product or the designer of the product is right there with them. And it's like, this looks really tasty, and it's like, and they go to drink it, and obviously they both, even if they can't stand it, you know, they have to gag it down. It's like, and that's what you do. It's like, that's really delicious. It could be the worst thing they've ever put in their mouth. Even a dollop of shit would be more tasty, you know. I'm not saying I do that sort of thing, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But it's just, it's always the same. It's sort of like you put in the most elegant fruits that, in terms of colour, like they could be bright limes or oranges or lemons or whatever, and it always turns out this horrible brown colour or the grey that you wouldn't even eat. You know, it's just horrible looking shit, and they have to down it or they have to have a bit, and it's like, oh well, you can put some blah 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 to make it more exciting for the kiddies. It's like, fuck off. And that's one of the worst things about free-to-air telly. You know, you get all of the repeats, and then you get all of the commercials, and fucking commercials. Have you noticed that an American television program, if it's a half-hour program, almost has 10 minutes of adverts? I've been going over The Big Bang Theory with my dad, you know, watching it from start to finish. Well, not start to finish, but watching our favourite episodes and then the final season. And the majority of episodes average between 18 and 21 minutes, which basically means there are almost 10 minutes of adverts, or, you know, advertising programs and things like that. Coming up next on blah 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 blah. And it's like, that's 10 minutes of adverts. And towards the end of it, the actors on that show were getting paid almost $1 million an episode, which basically means they're earning $3 million an hour. I mean, fuck. $3 million an hour. It was the same with Friends, probably the same with Frasier, or getting close to that. But that's the thing. It's all repeats now on free-to-air telly. Yes, you get your soaps, which aren't repeats. May as fucking well be. Your serial dramas, that's what they call them now. Oh, and best actress in a serial drama. Fuck off, it's a soap opera. Don't talk bollocks. But as of time of recording this, it's getting close to the Cricket World Cup final. And Sky have come out on record and basically said that if England reach the World Cup final, they will broadcast the final live on free-to-air television, which basically means pick. It's their one channel that they've got. Otherwise, they'll open up Sky Sports Cricket, mind you, for a day, just so that the nation can cheer on the boys if they get to the final. Now, as good as that is, why isn't the tournament on free-to-air television anyway? It's an international sporting tournament. It's not something little or a domestic tournament like a Premier League or an FA Cup or whatever. It's an international sporting tournament where England are participating. At time of recording, the England Lionesses have just been knocked out the Women's World Cup football. That was on free-to-air television. It still is on free-to-air television. Probably the third place playoff takes place in a couple of days, and the final probably taking place in about a week as time of recording. But that's on free-to-air television. It has national interest. Unfortunately, Wimbledon is currently on the television. That is on free-to-air television. It has a national interest, so to speak. Andy Murray is playing in the doubles, after saying he was fucking retired. Bastard. But Andy Murray aside, they're still showing Wimbledon. These are sporting events. They happen once a year. In case of Wimbledon, Tour de France starts on the day of recording this. A once a year sporting occasion. Nationalities of all, like Germany, England, UK, Poland, Spain, Colombia, America, you name it. They are represented in the Tour de France bike race. And it's live on free-to-air television. It's just the big hitters that are not on free-to-air television. Sports, American sports, for example, you can't get those on free-to-air television. You get the odd match of American football on free-to-air television because it's played in the UK. There might be some baseball, there might be some NBA basketball, NHL hockey. There's never been a free-to-air match on that, to my knowledge, on free-to-air television. These things need to be done. It's not just sport, movies. Sky have got something called Now TV, which is where you buy a little box and you pay £10 a month or something like that. More so if you want to watch sport. It's a good idea. You don't have to subscribe to anything, which is great. The Champions League was not broadcast on free-to-air television. It is the world's biggest domestic football competition. That is bullshit. It was on BT Sport. The final was on YouTube. Why wasn't the fucking European Cup football final on free-to-air television? I don't care what channel it's on. It could have been on Really, or it could have been on Dave, or it could have been on the fucking porn channels, for fuck's sake. At least it would have been on free-to-air television. That is bullshit. The most watched football match of the year was on fucking YouTube. That's ridiculous. The Europa League, which used to be known as the UEFA Cup, not one live match on free-to-air television. It was on BT Sport, a pay-per-view service. That is bullshit. Free-to-air television sucks because it's free. Because we've got no other alternative. If you're not rich enough to afford BT channels, Sky channels, Virgin Media channels, or whatever, you're fucked, basically. It's like the biggest show of the last 10 years, Game of Thrones, has just finished. And that will come up in a future Moaning Show. Not just Game of Thrones, but more on that later on. It's just finished. It was on Sky. The new Star Trek series, Star Trek Discovery, is on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that. I can't fucking watch it. I'm a Star Trek fan. I play the online game on the PlayStation. I can't watch the series that the newest ship is involved with. I have to buy the DVD. Alright, not a problem. I've got the rest of them on DVD. Not a problem at all. That's because I want to watch it. But I can't watch it. I've got to wait for the DVD. Bullshit. Because free-to-air television, oh no, can't afford that. And what's going to happen when the BBC lose the rights to Wimbledon? That's it, they're fucked. There's no reason to pay that TV licence. The reason for paying that TV licence is getting less and less every year. But repeat after repeat, and then you've got soap operas which differ very little from the day before. Most soap operas now are like at least three times a week, maybe even every day, which they used to be like twice a week. EastEnders used to be twice a week. That's 4 times a week, excluding Wednesdays. What's so special about a fucking Wednesday? At least they're not on at the fucking weekend. And you've got Hollyoaks, which I think is on twice a day or 3 times a day, specifically if you're watching E4. And you've got fuck all. Is it any wonder why people play video games? Is it any wonder why people watch DVD boxes? Is it any wonder why people pay for Netflix and Amazon Prime and things like that? Because there's more choice, there's more variety. You watch what you want to watch, rather than you watch what cheap enough to put on by these free-to-air channels. Some of it can be good. The aforementioned Taskmaster is brilliant. Basically, it's 5 C or D list celebrities from the UK, hosted by a couple of comedians, and they're set tasks, and however they perform in said tasks, it might be something ridiculous like finding a lemon underneath 12 pots, and you've got like 3 minutes to do it, or like 2.5 minutes to do it, but you can only lift up ones that you touch, or just silly little things like that. That's one of the best shows on the telly right now. But anyway, that's my rant over for free-to-air television. It's not in a good state, quite frankly, because it isn't. It is a load of crap, and it's not going to get any better until things are made better by our rights and our wishes to see them. You know, we get highlights of sporting events if we're lucky. We get the vast majority of property programmes like Homes Under the Hammer, that sort of shit, Dom Knows Best or Rip Off Britain, you know, information programmes. And of a night time they don't get a tremendous amount better. And anyway, like I say, that's about it for this edition of the Moaning Show. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time for episode 52. See you then.